Yes, hello, welcome back to the Rugby League Forecast podcast. My name is Connor Moran, and today I am going to be reviewing the Bulldogs 2025 season. And what a great season it was for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. I tell you what, I will admit that going into the 2025 season, I was wondering whether or not the Bulldogs could back up what they did in 2024, which was making the finals for the first time since 2017, I think it was. An incredible effort. What they achieved in 2024. They got knocked out by Manly in week one of the finals. And I did question whether or not they had the experience, whether or not they had the coach, to be completely honest. I doubted Cameron Serrato just based on the fact that he was a new coach coming through. And boy, oh boy, wasn't I wrong. They absolutely proved to me, and I think it's fair to say a lot of people wrong, because I spoke to people, a few friends and family members before the season saying, what do you think about the Bulldogs? And they said, look, I'm wondering if it was just a 1 year thing, if they'll get second year syndrome. But mate, I tell you what, they're in my grand final for 2026, and what a turnaround that is, just based on they're one of the only clubs that are truly rebuilding. Like they're truly building towards something great. And you've got your clubs that are trying to build, but there's not much improvement, such as Manly, Gold Coast, Newcastle, the Dragons. You know, like Manly have played finals once in since 2021. In 4 years. Like there's not much improvement happening there. But the Bulldogs, there's a genuine rebuild. There is something special going on. In 2025, the Bulldogs finished in third position, and they got knocked out by Penrith in the second week of the finals. They won 16 times and they lost 8 times. Now, this is what I find really interesting in some of the stats. As I mentioned, guys, earlier in another podcast, stats aren't everything. I understand that, but it is very interesting when you look back on sides to see how they went and look back at stats just to see this. So they were sixth in metres gained. And for me, considering they didn't have any big boppers, yeah, sure, they've got Max King and a couple of other, good front rowers, but like there's no one like there's not a star front rower. There's not like that big sort of Payne Haas, Terrell May, James Fisher Harris, Adam Fanua Blake. There's not that huge, that bully in the middle that you need. And for them to finish in sixth in metres gained without a huge front rower goes to show how well I think they'll do this year. I mean, Leo Thompson, he hasn't even played a game for them yet. So, surely they're going to go up, aren't they, with metres gained if Leo Thompson has an injury-free year. I really rate Leo Thompson. I think he's going to be a really good player for the Canterbury Bulldogs. He's exactly what they need. But it does also tell me that the game has changed. So rugby league, in the National Rugby League, it's not, teams aren't so much reliant on big boppers to win premierships these days. I don't think, I mean, since the six again rule came in at the back end of 2019, 2020, the game has changed. The speed of the game has fastened up. Therefore, you're going to have players such as a Kurt Mann and a Curtis Morin and just those little blokes that can just get that quick play the ball but play in the middle. So, the game is changing to a much faster paced game where perhaps the big bodies aren't going to get you overly, I mean, look at the Gold Coast Titans. Look at the size they had this year. Tino, Regan Campbell-Gillard. It just goes on and on and on. Mo Fotuaika. They had such a great forward pack. One of the best forward packs in the comp, in my opinion. But then look at how they travelled. Perhaps their issue was perhaps they were too big. Perhaps those bigger bodies got gassed out too much. As these little guys for the Bulldogs, these utilities that can play in the middle, that are very versatile and flexible for wherever they can play, perhaps that suits the modern game. And I think the Bulldogs are one of those sides that have shown that. And I was blown away by that stat, finishing sixth in metres gained. That's quite incredible. In 2025, this is why I think they're going to be in the grand final for 2026. They were the best defensive side all year. They finished third. They finished higher than the team that won the premiership, the Broncos, who's finished in fourth position and only just finished in the top four by beating Melbourne in the last round of the regular season. They were the best defensive side all year. Like that is absolutely incredible. And I think Galvin having a proper preseason there with Leo Thompson coming in. Sure, Reid Marnie for me is a big loss, but Bailey Hayward, he's a good player. Whether or not he's a number 9, not sure, to be honest. I've got my concerns there, but look, they've got a system that seems to be working, and you can only say that about so many clubs at the moment. You know what you're going to get from the Roosters. You know what you're going to get from Melbourne, Penrith, Cronulla. I'd even have Cronulla up there in terms of the consistency. They show every year that they're a consistent side, so their system is working. And I feel like the Bulldogs now, as a club, need to start being taken seriously based on what they dished up in 2025. If I'm a Bulldogs fan, I'm thinking it could be my first grand final since 2014 going into 2026. I really do. I just think they've got everything. For me, going into 2026, and I will do a 2026 Bulldogs season preview, and I will touch on this, but just quickly, for Vegas, they should just bite the bullet on Mitch Woods, play him in the 7 jersey, round 1 against the Dragons. He'll be 19 years old in May, I think it was. Sure, he's a young kid, but he's 18 years old. Chuck him in the 7 because Galvin is a 6. Galvin's a 6, Mitch Woods 7. Look, what do? Do you go Connor Tracy, miss out, Crichton fullback, and then Burton in the centres? Burton needs to play in the centres. He's won a comp in the centres, and but he's a great 5'8" as well. Yeah, so it's going to be really intriguing to see how they go. For me, Mitch Woods needs to be the number 7 for round 1. Kurt Mann, far out. What a great story he was in season 2025. The way in which he's able to just deliver week in, week out. He won an Origin series again. He's just such a good player and so versatile. And if you told me that Kurt Mann was going to be the player he is today, back at Melbourne in 2014, back at the Knights in 2020, look what the Bulldogs are doing. They're getting the best out of their players. Cameron Ciraldo, what a story. 2023, there were huge question marks whether or not he was the right man for the job. And Phil Gould offered him the job and he said, but hey, you know what? You might want to wait a couple of years because it could be a shit show in 2023. We need to rebuild. He goes, no. I'll take the job now. I want to be part of the rebuild. And that's what you want. That's what you want. You want a coach that is all in and will accept the criticism. And sure, Phil Gould might be a bit of a punching bag in terms of the decisions that Cameron Ciraldo makes. Cameron Ciraldo has made the decision on Galvin to bring him to the club. But these decisions, I think Ciraldo's gone, you know what? I'm probably going to cop a bit for the next year or two, but he's got a vision and he's trusting in the vision. And that's why I think there's a fair chance he'll play Mitch Woods in the number 7 jersey for round 1 because there's a vision. There's a vision of Mitch Woods and Lachlan Galvin being in the halves together. But I mean, 16 wins, 8 losses for the regular season. Pretty fucking good year, isn't it? Like really, pretty good year. And if you look at their team on paper, it's a nice looking team. It really is. But there might be better lineups in the comp. I think there is. Connor Tracy, is he going to win you a premiership at fullback? Perhaps, maybe. But, their forward pack isn't overly exciting, yet they finished 6th in metres gained. For me, they'll be the runners up in 2026. I just keep looking at everything they're doing and it's making so much sense. It reminds me of Manly in the mid-2000s when Des Hasler got to the club and there was a clear vision from the decisions Desi Hasler made in 04-05. There was a clear vision of what the side will look like in 2007-2008. He was making big decisions that was going to benefit the club for the future. And that's exactly what Ciraldo's doing. And I haven't seen a quicker rebuild from a club. If you look at the Bulldogs in 2021, Manly beat them 66-0. They were fucked. Like they were dead set gone. And now you look at them now, 4 years later, and I'm reading these stats out. And I cannot believe, as a rugby league fan, I can't believe how proud I am of this club. And I don't even support them. But it's so good to see that our game has clubs like the Bulldogs that are willing to do what's right and come back and climb back. You know, too often do I hear clubs come up with excuses of, well, we don't have the proper facilities, we don't have the money, we don't have the staff. Well, fuck it. You know, even Manly, we had no facilities. We had fuck all facilities in 2008, 2011, but we still ended up winning a comp, you know, like both competitions. So, you know, the Bulldogs I'd say they're up there with the richer clubs. They're a big club, a huge supporter base, and I think it's fantastic to see what they've achieved in 2025. I think it's a huge year for them. I think they will make the finals in 2026. I really do. I think I'm all in on them now, which means they probably won't make the finals now. No, but in all seriousness, I'm. It's such an honour and a privilege as a rugby league fan to watch this side and watch what they're doing. And I can absolutely see them winning their first premiership since 2004 in the next few years. Now, I'll touch on the Toby Sexton, Lachlan Galvin stuff. Sure. I don't want to go too into it because so many people and so many, it was played out all year about the Lachlan Galvin stuff, and I think it takes away from the brilliance that was the Canterbury Bulldogs season. So I won't touch on it too much, but I will say Toby Sexton's a fucking good halfback. And, you know, they were first. And then he got dropped for Lachlan Galvin and all that happened. But, you know, I'm more the other way where I think the way it was handled was pretty poor. I think Gus Gould could have probably been a bit more honest and 100% footy. And I've got full fucking respect for Michael Chammas, the Channel 9 journalist, who took him on head-to-head on 100% footy at Suncorp Stadium. That was some great television. And Gus knew what he was doing all along. But I can understand why he fucking did it. You know, I wouldn't have done it the way he did it, but he got caught out. But in saying that, you know, Gus is doing his job and he fucking did a good job. He got Galvin to the club. You know, Serrato wanted Galvin. Gus had to do whatever it took to get Galvin to the club. And the thing about Phil Gould too, he doesn't give a fuck what anyone thinks. He does not care. I don't think he'd walk off 100% footy thinking, driving home going, oh no, what's the people at home going to say about me now? He doesn't care. And that's one of the reasons why he's so brilliant at what he does. He's ruthless. He's consistent. He doesn't give a fuck. You know, he's too old. He's too old in terms of caring what anyone thinks, and he's been in the game for too long to really give a shit. He knows what to do to rebuild a club, and he's doing a bloody good job at it. The Galvin stuff for me, he is a 6. He's not a 7. He is a 6. And if I'm a Bulldogs fan, you want Galvin to start in the 6 jersey. Matt Burton, for me, I don't think he'll be in the side in a few years' time. So you move Burton to the centres, I think. Bronson Xerri, for me, could be a really good second rower. So whether or not you play Xerri off the bench, come in, play second row, or, you know, I think he could hit a hole, and he's a big body now, Bronson Xerri, as well. So you can move him around. There are ways around it, but it's going to be really interesting to see what they do in season 2026. But I just believe no matter the decisions they make, I believe their system is now proven. I believe their system is now good enough. And sure, they haven't won a finals game in the last 2 years, but I do genuinely believe that they have shown and proven that they're not here to fuck around in 2026. And they will be wanting to get to a big, big start. And my prediction is they're going to fucking smash the Dragons for round 1. I genuinely believe that they are going to make a statement round 1 and say, we are here. We are here for 2026 and we're not going to be fucked around. And that's what I love about the Bulldogs culture now. The fan base is there. You know, for me, their best win of the season was in Canberra. At halftime, they were 20 points down. 20 down, and then they scored around 34 unanswered points in the second half and beat Canberra in Canberra, who ended up with the minor premiership. That goes to show that the system is working. That goes to show that there's a trust between the players and the coaching staff. And that goes to show that the rebuild is on. It's happening. It's not just a 1 year on, 1 year off thing. There's a consistency now about the rebuild because fucking hell, I know they haven't won a finals game, as I just mentioned, but they are getting better and better every game they play. And the thing about the Canterbury Bulldogs too is when they play, they look relaxed. They look like they're having fun. They look like they know what they're doing, but they're having fun. They're enjoying the moment and they're soaking it all in. The players want to be there. You can tell that by looking at them before they run out and after they get back into the sheds. when the camera shows them, they're happy. They're having a beer. They're relaxing after the game. And what Cameron Ciraldo has done there is unbelievable. And I think he's going to be one of the best new coaches. If not, he already is. You've got Craig Fitzgibbon now at the Cronulla Sharks since 2022, Cameron Ciraldo. These coaches will be in the game now for 20 to 30 years. They've proven that they are here to stay in this game. And Cameron Ciraldo, fucking unbelievable. Toby Sexton, sure. For me, I agree with Cameron Ciraldo. He probably was not going to win the Bulldogs the premiership for season 2025. Probably isn't a premiership winning halfback in the NRL, if I'm to be completely honest. In saying that, he's a fucking good halfback. He's a really good halfback, but is he going to get the team to the next level? Is he, sure, I mentioned earlier they were the best defensive side, but there were many games where they did struggle in attack. And one of the reasons why Toby Sexton was dropped was because they had to change that. And when Lachlan Galvin came into 7, the statistics didn't improve overly too much, which suggests to me that Lachlan Galvin is the 6 and just blood Mitch Woods. Give him the experience he needs and trust. They just need to trust into the system. And, the Bulldogs finishing 3rd in 2025, they proved so many people wrong, including me. Fucking unbelievable season. Fantastic. Leo Thompson coming into the side. I do believe Reid Marnie's a huge loss, but what do I know in terms of I'm not in the system. I don't see what they do day to day. So now I just need to trust that Cameron Ciraldo knows exactly what he's doing and exactly what he's seen. And I think all rugby league fans now need to trust in the Bulldogs and actually, they're not my favourite team, but fuck, they're a joy to watch. They are such a joy to watch. They really are. So yeah, that's my Bulldogs 2025 season review. An outstanding roster going into 2026. Whatever they do, whether they start at Burton at 6, Galvin 6, whoever, they're not short of fucking halves now, are they? They've got depth, they've got a trust and understanding between everyone within the club, and there's a sense of fucking self-belief that they hadn't had for many, many years. And I feel like these players believe that they can win the premiership. These players believe, based on the stats of last year, being the best defensive side of the premiership. Only premiership winning sides normally are the best defensive sides. So that they can fucking win the comp in 2026. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they go. That's the review. My name is Connor Moran. This is the Rugby League Forecast Podcast. Guys, if you haven't done so already, please follow on Spotify and subscribe to the YouTube channel. My wife had a baby a few days ago. We've got beautiful little Violet. So I haven't put out any content for a week now because we've been in hospital for a few days. But now, we're just over a week until NRL trials, which is fucking insane. So content will be starting to come out more consistently now. Every Tuesday I'll be doing a round review, and every Thursday I will be doing a round preview. And there'll obviously be some bonus content in there as well, team lists and whatnot, any news dramas. I want you guys to have a huge opinion in the comments. Let me know your opinions, and really mean a lot if you guys could subscribe and be a part of this community. So thank you very much for listening. That's the Rugby League Forecast Podcast. The Bulldogs, fucking hell, they're going to be hard to stop in 2026.